Excitingly, today we are reviewing a lure for the very first time. We're going to talk about two of the latest and new colors that Daiwa are releasing in this range, and one of them happens to be my new favorite color. We'll then take that lure onto the water and deconstruct what would be probably one of my favorite waterway sections in Australia. There's also a giant giveaway, so let's get into it. So if you're a follower of the channel, you know that I've been hinting at a number of lures that I'm really excited about over the last few months. I reckon I got my first hands on them back in October. The truth of the matter is that there's actually been 4 lures that I've been playing with. 2 that aren't ready for market release yet, but 2 that are released in the Daiwa 2021 product catalog that went out today. We'll start by reviewing one of those 2 lures that was released today, the Daiwa Infeet Rollin crank, and I've actually got some pretty raw questions to ask of it. We're then going to take that lure onto the water. That's really the gravy part about this video. We're going to see some fish caught with it. I'll deconstruct an area and we'll talk about how to crankbait an edge or a river system in order to maximize your chances of catching fish. If you're a tournament guy or girl, there's some stuff in the backside, including footage of Malakuta. There's a tournament there in a month's time. And you'll see 2 out of the 3 of my biggest fish that got me second at a recent comp down here in Victoria. So this is the lure.
Such a cool way to fish when you've got clear tannin water and like a sandy bottom, and you can see the fish skidding across to your lure and just watching it. That's exactly what's happening at the moment. I've got another free patch up here. I'll be able to watch it. Problem I've got is if I get a fish here, I'm going to have to move quick. Because it's got about 16 different snags it can run through. Oh, there's fish chasing it. I can see it. Oh! They're still chasing it. They're still chasing it. About 3 rod legs. 3 rod legs ahead. How cool is that? How cool was that? Alright, we're gonna get this fish out. We're gonna do that. Giving it nothing. That is my lure. I do not want it gone. Give it back. Oh, yes! Yes! How cool was that? Nah, brim fishing. Mate, I love this. Look, there's another big one down there. I'm hitting that.
So quick formality before we get into it. Daiwa haven't endorsed or paid for the video. It's an independent review, but they have donated a rather nice pack that we'll talk about in a little bit for you guys to win. For those of you that are unaware, there was a variant of this released in 2015 under the Presso banner, and it shortly was taken off the market. So I guess the raw questions for us. Why was the lure removed from the market originally? What has changed on the lure, why re-attack the lure, and why should you or I spend our money on this lure? And I'll surmise this, but simply put, Daiwa don't think that they got this product right the last time. And to be honest with you, I tend to agree with that. These are the old versions of the Rollin crank that were released a number of years ago. I'll show you some footage here, but you can see they went into long-term storage, and I owned a bunch of them because I actually liked the lures. I used to throw them before any of this content creation or YouTube channel started. I liked them back in 2015. But whilst I like them, for me, they had a bit of a weakness. The first and the main one was the gauge of the trebles. I'll cut away here, but they were super thin and super sharp, kind of like super thin razor wire. I remember getting a bunch of hits, but also a bunch of misses. The lure was working, like the action was really quite nice. It was a really nice, tight and fat roll to the lure that attracted the fish, but once it got hit, that razor wire kind of treble went straight through the fish's mouth, and it was almost like they weren't sticking. The second problem kind of stemmed from the first, in that the trebles were so thin that when they got smashed by a fish, that either bend, snap, or crunch, and you'd be sitting there with your pliers trying to make them right after the first time that it had caught a fish. You know, they didn't last very long. It always meant that I was sitting there with my spare trebles trying to get them out, trying to match sizes, and I'd often get them wrong. And when I was doing that, you know, you change the buoyancy of the lure, or maybe the front treble would then catch onto the rear treble. It was always a bit of a mess. So in 2015, the lure kind of wasn't the complete package for me. It was close. It's kind of like how I equate a OSB bent minnow copy. It's good, they're kind of close, but there's just not something quite right about it. So first of all, the biggest weakness, the trebles, the old trebles have gone. These are new BKK 21SS trebles. I mean, the marketing and the advertising will tell you that they're Teflon coated, but I think the main thing about them is, whilst they are small, they're still size 16s, the gauge is notably thicker to the previous ones. I can attest to the fact that they're still sharp and they catch fish, but that thicker gauge there solves a couple of the problems that we had before. The thicker gauge means that they're now more durable and tough and they don't get crushed as much, and there's a bit more purchase on them so that when a fish smashes it, it actually grabs the fish's mouth and doesn't fine wire cut through it and you don't miss the fish. So a couple of really nice ticks there. The other interesting thing about the range is that none of the old range colors survived. None of them. There is 2 of them that are kind of close, and they're kind of 2 popular colors you'd expect. The entire palette also has UV. Now, I was really surprised when I was talking to Daiwa about this, and they said to me the old stuff in 2015, none of it had UV. And when I heard that, immediately I was like, well, no wonder it wasn't going to be successful. Now, as I give you the normal colors here, to not beat around the bush, you will notice some popular natural looking colors. There are colors in here that have been quite successful across other ranges, and these are the 2 that I really like. This one is the Moby. It is by far my favorite color in the range. It is almost my favorite, no, it is my favorite new lure color. But also, let me introduce you to Blue Suji Prawn. I really like it. We'll talk about the Blue Suji Prawn in the next video, but today in this one, it's going to be about that Moby color. It has been creaming fish left, right, and center. 100% it's been catching fish. To me, it looks insane under UV, which is this here. It's no word of a lie, my favorite color. So first of all, a big thank you to Daiwa Australia for the donation to you guys. In a week from today, we'll be giving away 1 set of every color in the MR and the DR. To enter, you need to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below on what your favorite color in this new range is. Or if you don't have one, what is your favorite color that you would like to see in a rolling crank? Doesn't matter what brand or what color, let me know your thoughts. Separately to that, I'm also going to do something a little bit different in this next section. I want to hear your comments about whether that works for you guys or not. I'm not using the whiteboard today, I'm going to use real world stuff. So if you've been following my social media, you might have seen these similar shots before, but this is how long I've had these lures for back in October. The area that we're going to fish is only accessible via a walk-in or a kayak. Every now and again when the water level is really high, you can get in there by a boat. But you can see the entry, the small little entry to Swan Lake, the Bemm River little inlet area there on your left. And this is the river that we're going to go up. So let's have a look at where we're going through. These first few bends, they look really nice, but a lot of the fish tend to be a little bit further in. You'll see a few of these offsets as well. See how there's hidden pools behind the main stream of the main river. I'll talk about why those are really important in a sec. This is the second section where the party really begins, back in this area here. Have a look behind you, you got Swan Lake there, and I'm pretty sure that area is restricted to boats, but I'd check your normal regulations. So if the lure was anything like it was in 2015, the lure action is really nice on it. So I really wanted to give it a bit of a swim test. This is what it looks like. The thing swims just as well as it did back in 2015, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This area here is what I wanted to show you as the camera pans across, but those little river feeder creek type looking things are really important in this area. You can see the system that happens off behind them as well. To give you a bit of a frame of reference, that is how big they are. They are tiny as you can just barely fit a kayak in them, but you can see the amount of access, the amount of fishery or the waterway that is behind it. Bait fish use this area quite regularly, so it is always worth a cast at the mouths whenever you come across them if you happen to be fishing the area.
Look at it, it's tiny. Look at it. Yeah, buddy. Small little guy.
As you move up, the fish get bigger, and this has got to be one of my favorite sections. It's got a few weed edges there that you can see, and there's a number of bends that make that weed tuck in kind of nicely on the edges. You've got 4 feeder creeks in this little area, and you can see there's quite large adjacent systems to them, so you know bait's going to be running through there. You've got tidal flow as well coming from that main lake up north, and those pressure points on the side are really, high success rate areas for predatory fish to be sitting. We're going to start here on the left. We're going to make our way from the bottom of the page up, and I'm going to work that left edge bank.
What I'm going to do is show you a roll and stop. So we're going to throw it out there to the edge. I'm going to sit there for a moment. Let it just calm. I'm going to take the slack up, and I'm going to one wind, stop, bang. Oh! This fish is just continuing to smash it and then swim toward me. There we go, finally got him. Fish. So it was that went into the edge, and then it was a wind, and I felt the fish. When I paused it, he'd hit it every time, so I knew he wanted it. So did that a couple of times on the way back, and we've been rewarded with a fish.
So that was cast 1 from 1. As we fought that fish, we've come forward. I'm going to make a right turn here, and then I'm going to hit that second pressure bend with the feeder creek adjacent to it.
So yeah, we got an eddy coming around here. It's hitting this hard edge on the right and coming through. Now I'm going to throw up on the right here. So I reckon that's where the fish are going to be. And that was not a great cast, but we'll go with it. So we're going to let it sit there for a moment. Boom! I didn't even need to do anything. Look at that. Didn't even need to do anything. How brilliant is that? Not a happy chubby, that bad boy. It's an EP. No wonder it hit it on the surface like it did.
It's a little bit rinse repeat here. I'm going to do the same thing again twice, but up to the corner, then left, and then up to the next feeder creek, and then left again onto the next pressure edge. Here's the footage.
After that, cast going straight at it. I'm going to pause it and stop it. Bang, bang. Oh, look at that. If I can get it on the surface. Bang. Getting hit. Bang, bang. Power of sometimes just leaving the crank to do nothing. It's a bit of a standoff. I think he's got me in weed at the moment. Logs or anything coming out of that edge. You can see we're slowly moving at the moment. He's pulling a 80 kilo dude and a kayak toward him. Pretty cool, huh? So these lures are 100% catfish. How cool was that? Tying that little ledge over there. Couple of winds and stop. A little bit of flow coming around this corner and through this bit of eddy over here. Oh, we're on.
The risk here is that the remainder of the day is pretty much the same. It just becomes the same thing over and over and over. So this is the top half of the system where we get a bunch of fish again. Yeah. Now I'm super conscious of people getting bored of watching someone catching fish, so I'm gonna roll through here. You'll notice there's a bit of a kayak change. I'm now at the Yak Hunters round in December where I placed second. I'm fishing with a guy called Francis who won it, but my day wasn't going so well, so I went and pulled this guy out. I've been reluctant to throw it because that Rollin crank is my only one left and I really don't want to lose it. But I threw it and I got 2 of my 3 biggest fish for the day on it.
That was a lot of fun to catch that fish.
For those of you interested in the Hobie round, in about a month or so from when this release is, Goodwin Sands is going nuts at the moment. Yep, sure, I'll share it. There's a green marker there behind, you know exactly where I am on that flat. Just on that sand patch in front of me now, or that weed patch I should say. Casting right. But this time, because it's getting a bit unfair with that Moby constantly being shown, I'm going to show you the darker prawn color that they've got here. And the other color that I'm going to give you a look at is the blue Suji prawn. This one comes in a bloody close second, maybe a third. I didn't even know, just took it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.